The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast coming to you on June 3rd, 2022. How you guys doing? Recording since on Thursday, but dropping on a Friday, of course. Recording this podcast just before Game 1 of the NBA Finals starts. I wanted to get this in beforehand because I got to do Take 3 Wrestling podcast right after the finals are over. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a separate episode, a shortened episode, to either in the morning, Friday morning, or we'll be Friday morning anyway. What I'm gonna try to do for the series is do a recap of each game, quick 5-minute podcast. I did one after Game 6 of East Finals last week. I think I'll do the same thing. I'm gonna try to maybe get Zach and Chris on the line for that one, but I'm probably gonna do it on my own. So I'll probably just do that so it won't interfere with the regular rotation of this show. Because I like to put these out, record these on Thursday nights, put it out Friday morning, which you'll get Friday morning in your feed. Same thing with Tuesdays, get it out Tuesdays, sometime. Although this week, Tuesday, it came out a little later. But as I told you guys, summertime's here for the kids, so obviously I got to take care of that and make sure my things are in order here at home. So the schedule, like I said, for the next couple months is going to be a little bit slightly tricky, not over the top, but you'll notice some little difference here and there. Anyway, this podcast, subscribe to all podcast catchers such as iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, you name it. Anyway, it's been a really, really, I gotta tell you, it's been a really rough week here at home. I told you guys couple days ago, last episode, my oldest son had to go to the hospital because he had a constipation. He's fine. A lot of pain in his stomach and all that. And I said also too, my youngest son also was under the weather. He got better. Well, he's sick again. He's still sick. My oldest son, who had a constipation, he feels a little better now, but now he has a cold. And then my wife on top of that has now a fever. So I'm the only one in the house now that is currently not sick. Now, cross fingers, see it stays that way because I can't afford this work as it is. Yeah, things are this has been a really rough week here in the Christian household. Obviously, my entire family under the weather. It's been a rough week. Everybody's sick. I had to play Go For all week long, all day today. Go For, take care of each one. My wife, both my kids. But you do what you got to do, man. You do what you got to do. Obviously. But other than that, just blessed to still be alive and doing all this, you know what I'm saying? But, like I said, it is what it is. Like I said, when it rains, it pours. Sometimes it's fucking more and bores. It just slams down on you, like a wrecking ball, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully, by the weekend, the family should be in the mend. Hopefully, we'll see what happens there. But anyway, obviously, I'm sure the whole world's been watching this thing, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, a verdict that came out yesterday. I honestly did not watch 1 minute of the trial. I didn't even not that I didn't care, but I just didn't have time to invest into it. A lot of my friends were watching it, so I kind of trusted them to give me information. Of course, I didn't follow it, but I sort of did. I guess you can call that. Didn't follow it, sort of did. I got some of the tea leaves. I didn't watch the media. I actually trusted close friends of mine. My wife followed it a little bit to some degree. She didn't watch it on TV, but she followed some of the tea leaves and all that. Friends of mine, too, who were watching it every day would clue me what's going on. Basically, Johnny Depp won, basically. I mean, they both got, they both got, laid with money owed, because it was a defamation suit. Johnny Depp owes Amber Heard $2 million. However, Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp, $15 million? So, so Johnny Depp really did win the case, obviously. Like I said, I didn't follow the story at all, even in the 6 years when the op-ed she put out back in, was it 6 years ago that she did? I heard about it back then, but I didn't really invest into the story and didn't really think much of it. To be honest with you, pop culture, really, for the most part, especially present day pop culture, I don't really follow as much. I've never really have been a big pop culture guy past the age of 35, 36. Music, for example, unless the artists or legacy artists, for example, I don't follow that. It's just weird. And it's not on purpose. It just happens that way. But Johnny Depp won the case, and it's one of those things where okay, this probably puts a big dent on Me Too and all that, and believing women, and you know how I feel about that. I've been saying for years that, while I do think Me Too could be a good thing, and it has been a good thing to some degree, we need to be very careful about how we just label things. We don't just believe someone because they say so. We still need to investigate. It's still important to look into things, investigate. You see innocent people, especially minorities, get hurt under things like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I've always been very careful to just label something. Well, if she said it, it must be true. No. If he said it, must be true. No. We're going to investigate it. We're going to investigate it. We're going to come up with the facts, and we'll move from there. That's always been my position. I was never anti-Me Too, but I was always anti-suppressing things just for the sake of the narrative. You know what I'm saying? So, but could this hurt Me Too? I mean, you don't want it to hurt women who want to come out with things that actually do matter, but at the same time, based on this case, based on the things that I've been told, she was lying a lot, and the jury didn't believe her for the most part. I just, I think, based on what I've been told, people I do trust, and that didn't have a horse in the race neither. He was telling the truth, and she was lying. And a lot of people I trust about that too have told me the same thing too, that she was lying. So I'm gonna roll with that, and these people I do trust, and people who don't fall into the whole thing of trust, just trust blindly. I'm not for that. Obviously, I don't fall into that that thing. So like I said, I'm kind of glad that the whole thing's over, because I mean this was kind of a distraction for everything that's going on around the world between obviously Ukraine-Russia war and all the school shootings and everything else going on in the world. I mean, I'm not saying this didn't matter, but at the same time, sometimes these celebrity, stories really like okay, we get it. It's important to some degree, but let's go. Let's move on, okay? So that's what it is. Some Charles Barkley, a little bit of NBA talk here. Like I said, we'll do a recap of the NBA for Game 1 on a separate episode, podcast, probably the next 12 hours, whatever you call it. Charles Barkley. As I said last episode, the Lakers hired a new coach, Darvin Ham, former Milwaukee Bucks assistant, now. And Charles Barkley weighed in on the Dan Patrick show about the hire. He was not very big on the hire. He goes, quote, "Well, I'm glad Darvin got an opportunity because he's paid his dues. He's a nice guy. We'll have to see what kind of coach he is. But listen, if one of your coaches is close to the same age as your players, your team's not going to be good anyway." Okay. I've always loved Barkley because of authenticity and just being honest to a fault. It's one thing if you don't like the hire because you don't think it's a good fit. You don't think it's, for example, it's the environment, all that. My only issue with what he said here is, and this is why I think it's a bad take, it's the whole age thing. Why should that matter? He's 48 years old. Okay, we've seen coaches who have been hired that were younger and have done very well. Eric Spoelstra was hired for I believe at 30. I can't remember the exact age Spoelstra was, but he was very young, probably late 30s in fact. And he guided the Miami Heat Big Three, at a very young age. Was there some challenges? Of course. But to say that it's the age is the reason why he won't do a good job here, that's a bad take. Now, if you want to go, if he didn't put that part there, and he said that it's the Lakers, it's LeBron, it's Russell Westbrook, and that situation, it's Andy Davis injuries, it's LeBron, and how that goes. Of course, it's the Lakers and the pressure there. That I can roll with. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you could be skeptical about the job as a whole based on the environment, but we've seen young coaches succeed in this role. So why wouldn't Darvin Ham, who on the surface seems like a guy that can probably handle his situation? We'll see. Like I said, I do, and I've always loved Barkley's authenticity. I just think he stretches reasoning a little bit here. Like I said, we'll see how it plays out, obviously, but for his age, 40, he's 48 years old. Why does his age matter? That's a bad take by Sir Charles, and you know me, I love Sir Charles. So, but I'm gonna call like I see it. Bad take there. We got some sad news in the NFL yesterday. Former Dallas Cowboys running back Marion Barber was found dead in his apartment by Frisco, Dallas, on Wednesday. The cause of his death is unknown. According to a source, police responded to a welfare check at Barber's apartment because someone had called about a water leak coming from his apartment. Police forced their way into the apartment. He was 38 years old. The Cowboys released a statement on Wednesday saying, quote, "We are heartbroken by the tragic death of Marion Barber III. Marion was a old-school, hard-nosed football player who ran with the will to win every down. He had a passion for the game and love for his coaches and teammates. Our hearts go out to Marion's family and friends during this difficult time." Barber played 7 years in the NFL, including 6 with the Cowboys between 2005 and 2011. He was a Pro Bowler in 2007 after rushing for 975 yards and 10 touchdowns in a season that he did not start a game for Dallas. He split time with Julius Jones that year. Barber finished his career with 4,780 rushing yards and 53 rushing touchdowns. 2014, Barber was detained by Mansfield police and taken to a hospital for a mental health evaluation. He was arrested in 2019 on two misdemeanor counts of criminal mischief over a 2018 incident in which he was alleged to have damaged 2 cars while he was running in Frisco. Per a source, Barber had been hospitalized twice for mental health evaluation since retirement in 2012. Now, interesting enough, and this is very obviously very cryptic now and very obviously haunting now. A year later, roughly a year ago, former Cowboys receiver Des Bryant wrote on Twitter that he couldn't even enjoy watching old highlights of Barber because he knew he was down and out bad. Quote, saying this on Twitter, quote, "As I watched this video and me knowing exactly how Marion Barber life is going right now, today is why I built Personal Corner. I can't even enjoy it because he's down and out bad. We are just a stat and moments to some people." This is what Brian posted on Twitter. I actually was a fan of Marion Barber, and obviously I'm not a fan of the Cowboys, but when I'm a New York Giants fan. When you play the Cowboys twice a year, you familiarize with certain players. Marion Barber was a guy that ran hard. He ran extremely violent, hard hitting. He was a guy that he was hard to tackle. He was kind of a smaller but stocky guy. I mean, there's a run actually from when he played the Patriots that same season in 2007 where it was probably the greatest 2-yard gain ever, where he got stopped at the goal, like they're on their own. I think the Cowboys are on their own 1 2-yard line, and Barber got stopped, went around, and evaded 5-6 tackles, gained only 2 yards, but avoided a safety and all that. He was a hard runner. I'll be honest with you, man. It wouldn't surprise me if CTE played a role in a lot of his struggles late in life. It would surprise me because the way he ran hard, head first, you name it. I mean, obviously had a shortened career. You can see that he only played 7 years in the league, But very sad news coming out of Dallas, man. Obviously, out of Frisco rather, out of Texas, on Marion Barber. Very sad news to report there. But he was a good player. He was a solid player. I mean, those couple of years in Dallas, like I say, he made the Pro Bowl in 2007. He was definitely a solid player. So, like I said, thoughts and prayers for Marion Barber and his family. 38 years old, way too young, man. It really is. Some retirements here from this week, the last day actually in the NFL. Frank Gore retires. 37 years old. He signed a contract today with the 49ers. He's the Niners' all-time leading rusher. 16-year career. He is actually third all-time in NFL history in rushing. He's rushed for, look at this, 16,000 exact total rushing yards. In my opinion, definitely Hall of Famer. I know there's a lot of controversy about should he get in, because he wasn't the flashiest running back in the world. He played a long time. But look, when you can last as long as you do and still be productive late like this, at some point you got to say, okay, well, you play a long time, yes, and you're third all time in rushing. That should accumulate for a Hall of Fame career. Look, if you want to debate whether he's first ballot Hall of Famer, go right ahead. I don't care. But this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Frank Gore should be a Hall of Famer, without a question. Look, the Hall of Fame is a individual. It's a numbers game, and he has the numbers to do it. He has longevity for starters, which at a position where it's hard to be this good and for this long, okay. And then he has the numbers to back it up. He's third all time in rushing. Gotta respect that, man. Frank Gore should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, and that's just that. Another retirement, of course. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Mr. Fitzmagic himself. Retired today as well, too. He was selected by the Rams in the 7th round of the 2005 NFL Draft. Fitzy played for 9 different teams. This guy was the journeyman of all journeymen. He spent most of the time with the Buffalo Bills, where he was the team's primary starter for nearly his entire 4-year stint there. Fitzpatrick also played for the Bengals, the Texans, the Dolphins, Jets, Rams, Buccaneers, Titans, and Washington football team. Fitzpatrick is now reportedly eyeing a broadcasting job now that he's reportedly hung up his cleats for good. He's talking with Amazon about a broadcasting role. I think he'd be fantastic as a broadcaster, as a media guy. If you've seen Fitzpatrick off the field, especially too, he gets it. He's a fun guy. He's definitely an interesting dude. I think he'll do a fantastic job behind the booth. But yeah, I think he'd be great. He'd be great. Fitzy, like I said, no surprise here. He was he 39 years old now? So yeah, this was gonna come at some point. He had an injury last year, week 1, last season, and 39 years old at that point, like you're asking a lot to come back from that at the age and whatnot, and that sport. Yeah, he asked for a lot. So again, Frank Gore and Ryan Fitzpatrick both retiring in the league, in the NFL. Here's something I discovered last night. Dan LeBatard, guys, I'm a huge Dan LeBatard fan. My favorite podcast, radio show, whatever you call it, to listen to every day. I listen to the show. But I just found out yesterday that Dan LeBatard got a Substack. When the hell did LeBatard get a Substack? And I said it because like he's known, through the years. Now, obviously, he's focused mostly on radio the last 10, 15 years, but he was known as a writer, first of all. And to me, LeBatard is probably my favorite writer of all time. The guy's a fantastic writer. I mean, he's in my Mount Rushmore of favorite writers, and not just in sports, but just in general, like any journalist. But he has said that he does not have time to write anymore. Writing is hard, and I struggle for the same thing else too. Writing is very tough. It's hard to do, to commit to, especially in this era. But I was looking for articles because there was something said a couple days ago on the show that he had written an article pertaining to the Miami Heat or something of that nature, and I was searching for the article, and I look on Google and I see Dan LeBatard Substack. Like, whoa, because I thought I'd find it in the Miami Herald, because normally when he writes articles once every like a year or 2 years, whatever, if he does a special article, he'll write it in the Miami Herald, which is where he primarily did a lot of his writing. Then I go look on Google and I see him having a Substack. Like, whoa, a Substack? So obviously I subscribed to Substack because, of course, anything he does write, which is very rare, but when he does write, I want to be able to see it. So very cool seeing Dan LeBatard on Substack. I have a Substack to myself, but I hardly ever use it. In fact, I'm struggling with the idea of trying to write again because all my energy I do with media now is all in this. It's on the podcast. Whether it's this show or it's the wrestling podcast or anything else I do on the side. And writing, I'll say it again, it takes a lot out of you, man. It's a commitment that you have to commit to. It takes, getting into yourself to where you're locked down. And, like I said, it would be a lot easier if I didn't have kids, to do that. But my time is small now. And anytime I do have for myself, I'm putting into this podcast. So the sacrificial lamb here is the writing aspect of it. So I can relate to LeBatard to some degree with that. Like I said, I do have a Substack. If you want to subscribe to it, earnspeaking.substack.com. I just haven't written so long. I would like to write more, even blog a little bit, but I don't have time to do it, So this summer, we're now approaching summer now. Inflation is crazier now, dude. Like, I'm looking at gas. Now, gas is approaching $5 here in South Florida. They're saying it can go as high as $6 by the middle of the summer. Man, summer and inflation is scary right now. Like I said, my wife and I are trying to figure out what to do with the kids in terms of because obviously we want to keep them productive, do things, do little maybe family trips here and there, but it costs money, gas and everything else is going up the roof now. So we're trying to figure that out, so as a family, how we're going to operate moving forward as a family when it comes to, these things. And it's like, wow, what are we going to do? What are we really going to do? I'm terrified for this summer, dude. Honestly, I'm really terrified. Like, this is why I don't go anywhere. I go to work. I do my see. For me personally, I don't need going out anywhere. As long as I have my bills paid, as long as I have food on the table, roof over my head, able to go to work and come back. My car is good. I come home. I'm okay. I have things I can do. There's so many things I can do home. I can do podcasts. I can go watch any of my streaming services and stuff I subscribe to. For me, it's easy. But for my family who needs to be productive and they get bored easy, they want to go to Disney, they want to do this. And so, like, I try, not to sound cheap here, but I try to find things that are, what do you call? Things that are, cheap and easy. So going to the pool here with my kids. They love going to the pool. So we go to the pool all the time. That's free. I take them to the pool, now obviously this week's been rough because they've been sick. But we go at least 3, sometimes 4 times a week during the summer. Like I remember last year when COVID was come to an end, but when things were lighting up in terms of COVID, we had started going to the pool a lot, to stay productive and go to the pool and doing other activities to get to the playground. Like, I'm trying to find things that are cost efficient for us, because I said everything's going up, gas is going up. It's a nightmare, So It's gonna be a scary summer, man. Guys, I mean, like I said, all I can tell you guys is to find things to do that is cost efficient, and just try to find things that are not going to kill you at the pump or kill you anywhere else, because everything is going up. Everything, you know what I'm saying? So, before I get going, apologies to my boys, Chris and Zach. Like I said, we were supposed to do an In the Paint final preview Tuesday this week on the feed, and we were able to do that because I said my son had to go to the hospital, and I had to keep the line clear to keep my line clear to my wife to call me updates and stuff of that nature. And then yesterday we were trying to do it again last night, and then unfortunately, I said my wife got a fever. Both my kids are sick, so it was rough. I wasn't able to get anything done this week with the podcast. So hopefully next week we'll do something different. Maybe not necessarily a preview, obviously, but we'll check in the finals and obviously touch on some NBA news and all of that. By the way, I'm working on changing the name of that podcast after the season's over, so we'll see how that goes. Finally, before I go, I am currently rewatching The Real World Seattle. I told you guys last couple episodes actually that I've been kind of going back into deep dives of The Real World again. What triggered this, of course, was that right now, as we speak, The Real World New Orleans Homecoming is going on. It's currently being not filmed, but currently being released week to week on Paramount Plus. I'm heavily into that right now. And it triggered me wanting to watch on the old Real World seasons. I found some of the ones you currently can't find on Paramount Plus on YouTube. Now, a lot of those seasons sometimes, unfortunately, don't have all episodes. Like I said last episode that I was watching Real Miami. Unfortunately, it's only 10 episodes. The person who uploaded it only has the first 10 episodes of that season. That is it. And I think Boston had to have the first the first 3 of that season. That's it. Well, Seattle, I think they have 21 episodes. So I started watching the Seattle one today for the first time in years. I was never a humongous fan of the Seattle season, but then I watched it again and I realized, wait, this is actually better than I thought. Of course, that's the year where Steven, slapped Irene on the pier after she left the show because she has Lyme disease and all that. She couldn't deal with the situation there. I mean, obviously, she slapped him because he slapped her because she called him homosexual, which is funny because we found out now recently that he's actually gay and engaged. It's kind of funny. It's a real good cast though. David from Boston, Nathan from Virginia. They're pretty cool. Rebecca was really, really laid back and awesome musician too, especially. Lindsay reminds me of actually a coworker. Of course, Janet, my favorite, the Asian. I think she's Korean actually. Gorgeous. Oh my god! I think I saw her recently on social media. She's still beautiful. So I'm watching that currently. So I'm about 4 episodes into the show again. It's been a long time since I watched that thing. I think it's been 15, 20 years since I watched that season. But it's actually one of the better seasons though. Something Miami's the most underrated one, and I hope to do a Miami reunion soon, if they ever do one. So, but anyway, that would do for today's podcast, dated June 3rd, 2022. I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7, Earnestly Podcast on all podcast catchers. Look out for another episode soon. Of course, all the other, like I said, besides this podcast, all the other concepts, Takes Me Wrestling podcast, and In the Paint and Football's Awesome. We're going to come back in a few months. The wrestling retrospective, you name it, unfiltered once in a while. Like I said, I'm gonna do a separate episode today, recapping Game 1 of the finals. Okay, so we'll talk to you guys soon. I know it's a little shorter than usual on the recent ones, though, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll talk soon. God bless you guys. Love you guys. Take care and stay up. And see ya.